A 6-year-old girl runs barefoot down a suburban street, her princess nightgown fluttering behind her like broken wings. Tears stream down her face as she clutches a stuffed elephant to her chest. She's searching for something, someone, anyone who can help. When she spots the patrol car, she runs faster, her small voice breaking as she calls out, "Police officer, please, my daddy can't breathe." What Officer Rebecca Hayes discovers in that quiet house will change 3 lives forever. But before we begin, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's dive into this story. The morning sun painted Greenwood Avenue in shades of gold and amber. It was the kind of Saturday morning where everything felt soft and safe, birdsong drifting through open windows, the smell of someone's fresh brewed coffee mixing with the scent of honeysuckle from Mrs. Patterson's garden fence. Officer Rebecca Hayes sat in her patrol car at the corner of Greenwood and 5th Street, the engine idling quietly as she finished her incident report. At 36 years old, with 9 years on the Portland Police Department, Rebecca had learned to appreciate these quiet moments. The night shift was ending, and in 20 minutes she'd be heading home to her small apartment, maybe stopping for pancakes at Danny's Diner on the way. She took a sip of her coffee, lukewarm now, and stretched her shoulders. The leather of her uniform creaked softly. Through the windshield she watched a mourning dove land on a telephone wire, its soft cooing barely audible over the distant hum of early morning traffic on the highway. Then she heard it. The sound cut through the peaceful morning like a knife, small feet slapping hard against pavement, running fast and uneven, desperate. Rebecca's head snapped up. A little girl was sprinting down the sidewalk toward her car. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with dark curly hair that bounced wildly with each frantic step. She wore a pink nightgown with a unicorn on the front, and her feet were bare, no shoes, no socks. In her arms, she clutched a gray stuffed elephant, holding it so tightly her knuckles had gone white. The child's face was streaked with tears, her cheeks flushed red from crying and running. Her breath came in ragged gasps that Rebecca could hear even from inside the car. Every instinct Rebecca had developed over 9 years on the force fired at once. She threw open the car door and stepped out, her hand instinctively moving away from her weapon. She needed to look safe, approachable, not threatening. "Sweetheart," Rebecca called out, her voice gentle but clear. "What's wrong?" The little girl reached her and immediately grabbed Rebecca's uniform with one small hand, still clutching the elephant with the other. Her words tumbled out in a rush, broken by sobs and gasps for air. "Officer, please. You have to come. My daddy. He can't breathe right, and he's sitting on the floor, and he looks really scary, and I don't know what to do. Please help him." Rebecca knelt down immediately, bringing herself to the child's eye level. She placed her hands gently on the girl's small shoulders, feeling how the child trembled beneath her palms. Okay. I need you to take a breath for me, sweetheart. Just one big breath. Can you do that?" The little girl tried, her chest hitching, but she managed a shaky inhale. "Good. That's really good. Now, what's your name?" Mia, she whispered, her voice so small it made Rebecca's chest ache. "Mia Cooper." "Hi, Mia. I'm Officer Rebecca. You did exactly the right thing coming to find me." Rebecca kept her voice calm and steady, even though alarm bells were ringing in her head. "Where's your daddy right now? Can you take me to him?" "At home." Mia pointed down the street with a trembling finger, her stuffed elephant hanging from her other hand. "The yellow house with the red door, the one with the tomato plants on the porch. He was making me chocolate chip pancakes because it's Saturday, and we always have special breakfast on Saturdays, but then he couldn't breathe anymore, and he sat down, and now he can't get up." Rebecca stood up, already reaching for her radio. "Dispatch, this is Unit 23. I have a possible medical emergency. Requesting immediate ambulance response to..." She looked at Mia. "What's your address, honey?" 427 Greenwood Avenue, Mia said, her voice steadier now that someone was listening. Someone was helping. 427 Greenwood Avenue. I'm responding now with a minor child who reported an adult male in respiratory distress. Over. Copy, Unit 23. Ambulance dispatched. ETA 5 minutes. Rebecca held out her hand to Mia. Mia, I need you to take me to your house right now and show me where your daddy is. Can you do that? Can you be brave and show me? Mia nodded quickly and slipped her small hand into Rebecca's. Even through Rebecca's concern for whatever they might find, she noticed how the child's hand felt, tiny and cold, fingers sticky from crying, gripping Rebecca's hand like it was the only solid thing in a tilting world. As they half walked, half ran down the sidewalk, Rebecca tried to gather information. Mia, is anyone else at home? Your mom? Brothers or sisters? Just me and Daddy, Mia said, taking little running steps to keep up with Rebecca's longer strides. Mommy died when I was a baby. I don't remember her, but Daddy says she had dark hair like me, and she loved elephants. She held up her stuffed toy. That's why he gave me Mr. Tumbles, so I'd always have something from her. Rebecca felt her throat tighten. That's a beautiful name. Mr. Tumbles is lucky to have you. Officer Rebecca? Yes, sweetheart? My daddy has a heart problem. That's what he told me. He said his heart doesn't beat the right way sometimes. He has to take special medicine every day to keep his heart working good. Heart condition. Rebecca's pulse quickened. Does he take his medicine every morning? Mia's voice got very quiet. He's supposed to. But last week I heard him on the phone with the pharmacy lady, and she said the insurance company said no, and the medicine costs lots of money. And yesterday, Daddy looked really tired and said we had to eat spaghetti again because we needed to save money for important things. They reached the house, a small single-story home with cheerful yellow siding that could use a fresh coat of paint. The front door was wide open, just as Mia had left it when she ran for help. Potted tomato plants sat on the porch, their soil dry and plants wilting. The mailbox was stuffed with envelopes, and Rebecca could see red final notice stamps on several of them. Rebecca took it all in with her trained eye. A single father doing his best, a family struggling quietly, and now a medical crisis. Okay, Mia, Rebecca said, squeezing the child's hand. Show me where your daddy is. Take me right to him. Mia pulled Rebecca through the front door. He's in the kitchen, by the stove. He fell down trying to make the pancakes. Rebecca followed close behind, her trained eyes quickly scanning the small living room. No signs of forced entry, no other people. The house was quiet, except for a faint sound coming from deeper inside, labored, wheezing breaths that made Rebecca's heart clench. The living room was small but had clearly been cared for with love. A worn but clean sofa with a handmade quilt draped over it. A coffee table with a half-finished jigsaw puzzle. It looked like a picture of elephants in a savanna. Family photos on the walls showing a dark-haired man and a little girl at various ages. The photos chronicled years of just the two of them, first days of school, birthday parties with homemade cakes, trips to the zoo, Halloween costumes. This way, Mia said, her voice urgent, pulling Rebecca through a small dining area. As they entered the kitchen, Rebecca saw him immediately. Thomas Cooper sat slumped against the kitchen cabinet, one hand pressed weakly against his chest. He appeared to be in his late 30s, wearing jeans and a T-shirt that read, "World's Best Dad." His face was ashen gray, lips slightly pale with a faint blue tinge around the edges. Each breath came in short, desperate gasps, rapid and shallow, maybe 30 breaths per minute, when it should be 12 to 16. A thin sheen of sweat covered his forehead and neck. A mixing bowl lay overturned beside him, chocolate chip pancake batter spreading across the yellow linoleum floor. A spatula rested near his outstretched hand, and the griddle on the stove was still warm, wisps of smoke rising from it where the first pancake had burned. "Daddy!" Mia started to rush forward, but Rebecca gently caught her shoulder. "Mia, wait. Let me check on him first, okay? You did such a good job bringing me here. Now I need you to be brave for just one more minute and let me see how I can help him." Mia nodded, clutching Mr. Tumbles tightly, her eyes never leaving her father's face. Rebecca knelt beside Thomas, already keying her radio. "Dispatch, Unit 23. Patient is conscious but in severe respiratory distress. Looks like possible heart failure. Step up that ambulance." "Copy, Unit 23. Ambulance is 3 minutes out." Rebecca turned her attention to Thomas, her voice calm and professional. "Mr. Cooper, I'm Officer Rebecca Hayes. Mia brought me here to help you. Can you tell me what's happening?" Thomas's eyes found Rebecca's face, and she could see the fear there, not for himself, but for his daughter watching from a few feet away. He managed to gasp out a few words between desperate breaths. "Can't breathe. Chest heavy. Heart condition." "How long have you been feeling like this? All morning? Getting worse?" "Daddy?" Mia's voice was small and frightened. "Are you going to be okay?" Thomas's gaze shifted to his daughter, and despite his obvious distress, his face softened with love. "Mia Bean, you're so brave. Such a good girl." Rebecca quickly assessed the situation. Thomas was conscious and able to speak, though clearly struggling. His lips had that telltale bluish tint, suggesting poor oxygenation. His breathing was too rapid and too shallow, classic signs of acute heart failure with pulmonary edema, fluid in the lungs. This wasn't something she could fix with first aid. He needed immediate medical intervention. "Mr. Cooper, do you have a heart condition? Are you on medication?" He nodded weakly. "Atrial fibrillation. Supposed to take pills every day." "When was the last time you took your medication?" Thomas closed his eyes briefly, and Rebecca could see shame wash over his face. 3 weeks. Couldn't afford refill. 3 weeks. Dear God. "Mia," Rebecca said gently, "your daddy is going to be okay. The ambulance is almost here, and they're going to take him to the hospital where doctors can help him breathe better. But right now, I need you to do something very important for me." "What?" Mia's voice trembled. "I need you to go to the living room and get a pillow from the couch. Can you do that? Your daddy needs to rest his head on something comfortable while we wait." This gave Mia a task, something to do instead of just watching helplessly. She nodded quickly and ran to get the pillow, Mr. Tumbles bouncing in her arms. While she was gone, Rebecca spoke quietly to Thomas. "Mr. Cooper, I'm going to stay with you until the ambulance arrives. Is there anyone else I should contact? Family members who should know what's happening?" Thomas shook his head weakly, his breathing still labored. "Just Mia and me, no one else." His hand suddenly gripped Rebecca's arm with surprising strength, his eyes finding hers with desperate clarity. "Please, don't let them take her away. She's all I have. I can take care of her. Just need to get better." "Mr. Cooper, Thomas, let's focus on getting you help first. We'll figure out everything else after." Mia returned with a pillow, and Rebecca helped Thomas adjust so his head rested against it, propping him in a more upright position to help with his breathing. "See, Daddy?" Mia said, her voice trying to be cheerful, even though tears streamed down her cheeks. "Officer Rebecca is helping us, just like you always said. You told me if there's ever a big problem, find a police officer because police officers help people." Thomas managed the smallest smile. "You remembered? So proud." In the distance, the wail of sirens grew louder, and moments later, paramedics rushed through the open front door with their equipment and a stretcher. "In here," Rebecca called out. 2 paramedics, a man and a woman, entered quickly, their movements efficient and practiced. "What have we got?" the female paramedic asked, already kneeling beside Thomas and pulling out monitoring equipment. "Adult male, late 30s, diagnosed atrial fibrillation, hasn't had his medication in 3 weeks," Rebecca reported crisply. "Severe respiratory distress, possible acute heart failure." The male paramedic was already placing an oxygen mask over Thomas's face while his partner checked vitals and started an IV line. BP is 90/60, heart rate 140 and irregular, oxygen saturation 88%. The female paramedic, her name tag read Lisa, reported. Definite fluid in the lungs. We need to get him to the hospital now. As they worked to stabilize Thomas and prepare him for transport, Mia pressed herself against Rebecca's side, watching everything with wide, frightened eyes. "Officer Rebecca," she whispered, "why are they putting that mask on Daddy's face?" "That's an oxygen mask," Rebecca explained gently. "It's helping him breathe better by giving him extra air. See how your daddy already looks a little less scared?" It was true. With the oxygen flowing, some color was returning to Thomas's lips, and his breathing, while still rapid, didn't look quite as desperate. "Okay, we're ready to transport," Lisa said, looking at Rebecca. "Is the child coming with us?" Rebecca looked down at Mia. "Do you want to ride with your daddy in the ambulance?" Mia nodded vigorously. "I want to stay with him." "She can ride in the jump seat," Lisa said, "but we need to move fast." As they wheeled Thomas out to the ambulance, Rebecca walked beside Mia, her hand resting protectively on the child's shoulder. She should probably hand this off now, call Child Protective Services, follow procedure. Her shift had ended 20 minutes ago. But looking at this little girl's terrified face, at the way she clutched Mr. Tumbles like a lifeline, Rebecca couldn't bring herself to walk away. "Mia," she said, as they reached the ambulance, "I'm going to follow in my car and meet you at the hospital, okay? Promise." Mia looked up at her with those big, trusting brown eyes. "I promise. I'm not going anywhere." The ride to Portland General Hospital took 12 minutes that felt like hours to Mia. She sat strapped into the jump seat in the back of the ambulance, her legs too short to reach the floor, swinging nervously. Mr. Tumbles sat in her lap, and her eyes never left her father's face. Thomas had the oxygen mask over his nose and mouth, and he was connected to so many wires and tubes that Mia had lost count. But the scary gray color was fading from his face, and his eyes were open, watching her. "Is the medicine helping him?" Mia asked Lisa quietly, watching the clear fluid drip from the bag into her father's arm. "It is, sweetheart," Lisa replied gently. "We're giving him medicine to help his heart beat better, and to help get rid of the extra fluid in his lungs. That's why he couldn't breathe right. There was too much fluid where there should only be air." Mia nodded solemnly, trying to understand. "Like when you accidentally drink water while swimming and it goes in your nose?" "Kind of like that, yes. Your daddy's lungs had too much fluid in them, making it hard for him to breathe. But the medicine is already helping." "Daddy," Mia said softly, "can you hear me?" Thomas's eyes focused on his daughter, and he managed a small nod. He tried to speak, but the oxygen mask muffled his words. "Don't try to talk, Daddy," Mia said, her voice very grown-up suddenly. "Just rest. The ambulance people are taking really good care of you, and Officer Rebecca is following us in her police car. She promised she wouldn't leave." At the hospital, the emergency room moved with controlled chaos. Thomas was wheeled away immediately, surrounded by doctors and nurses calling out medical terms Mia didn't understand. BP, IV push, portable chest X-ray, Lasix. Mia tried to follow, but a nurse gently stopped her. "Sweetie, we need to let the doctors work on your daddy. You can see him very soon, I promise." "But he needs me." Mia's voice rose with panic. "What if he's scared? What if he thinks I left him?" Rebecca appeared at that moment, slightly out of breath from parking and running to catch up. "Mia, I'm here." Mia immediately grabbed Rebecca's hand. "They won't let me see Daddy." The nurse, Patricia, according to her name tag, knelt down to Mia's level. She had kind eyes and purple scrubs decorated with cartoon cats. "Hi there, honey. I'm Nurse Patricia. Your daddy is in very good hands. The doctors are checking on him and giving him medicine to help him breathe better, but they need space to work. Would you like to wait in our family room? It has comfortable chairs and books and toys." Mia shook her head firmly. "I want to stay close to where my daddy is." Patricia looked at Rebecca with a question in her eyes. "I'll stay with her," Rebecca said. "Is there a waiting area nearby?" Second door on the left. I'll come get you as soon as your father is stable enough for visitors." Rebecca led Mia to the waiting room, a small space with uncomfortable plastic chairs, outdated magazines, and a television playing morning cartoons on mute. They were the only ones there. Mia climbed into a chair, her feet dangling off the edge, and hugged Mr. Tumbles tightly. She was trying so hard to be brave, but Rebecca could see the fear and exhaustion written all over her small face. "Mia, when was the last time you ate something?" Mia thought for a moment. "Last night. We had spaghetti with butter. Daddy said we couldn't have the sauce this time because we needed to save it." Last night. It was now almost 8 in the morning. This child hadn't eaten in nearly 12 hours, and she'd been through a traumatic morning. "Okay, how about I go find us some breakfast? Do you like hot chocolate?" Mia's eyes lit up just a little. "With marshmallows?" "With marshmallows," Rebecca confirmed with a small smile. "I'll be right back. 5 minutes. I promise I won't leave you alone for long." Mia nodded, setting Mr. Tumbles carefully beside her, as if the elephant needed his own seat. Rebecca stepped out into the hallway and immediately pulled out her phone. She needed to call someone, needed to... What? Report this? But report what exactly? A good father who'd gotten sick because he couldn't afford medication? A brave little girl who'd done everything right? Instead, she found herself calling her mother. "Mom? Sweetheart, aren't you supposed to be off shift by now? Is everything okay?" Martha Hayes had the kind of voice that could calm storms, warm, steady, and full of love. She'd been a kindergarten teacher for 35 years before retiring, and she had a way of knowing when something was wrong with her daughter even before Rebecca said a word. "Mom, I need your advice. I responded to a call this morning, a little girl whose father collapsed from a heart condition. He hasn't been able to afford his medication. She's 6 years old and she's alone, and she's scared, and "You can't walk away," Martha finished. "Oh, Becca. I know I should follow procedure, call CPS, hand her off, go home and sleep. But Mom, she ran 3 blocks barefoot to find help. She saved her father's life. And now she's sitting in this waiting room trying so hard to be brave, and I can't leave her here alone." There was a brief pause, and then Martha said exactly what Rebecca knew she would say. "What do you need me to do?" Rebecca felt tears prick her eyes. "Can you come to the hospital? Bring some snacks? Maybe a coloring book or something? She needs someone, and I'm all she has right now. Give me the address. I'll be there in 20 minutes. "Thank you, Mom." "Rebecca." "Yeah? Your father would be proud of you right now. You're doing exactly what he taught you, helping people who need it." Rebecca hung up, wiping her eyes, and went to find breakfast. The hospital cafeteria was just opening, and she bought 2 hot chocolates with extra marshmallows, a couple of muffins, and some fruit. When she returned to the waiting room, Mia was sitting exactly where Rebecca had left her. Staring at the silent television without really seeing it, Mr. Tumbles clutched tightly in her arms. "Here we go," Rebecca said brightly, setting the hot chocolate in front of Mia. "Careful, it's hot. Let it cool for a minute." Mia looked at the cup with its mountain of marshmallows, and a tiny smile, the first real one Rebecca had seen, appeared on her face. "Thank you, Officer Rebecca." "You're very welcome. And Mia? You can just call me Rebecca if you want. We're friends now, aren't we?" Mia considered this seriously. "Are we? We just met this morning." "Well, sometimes friendships happen fast, especially when brave girls run to find help and trust someone to listen. That's special. That makes us friends." Mia took a careful sip of her hot chocolate, getting marshmallow on her upper lip. "Okay, then we're friends." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, Mia eating her muffin carefully, breaking off small pieces, and Rebecca pretending to check her phone while really just watching to make sure Mia was okay. "Rebecca?" Mia's voice was small again. "Yes, sweetie?" "Is my daddy going to die?" The question hung in the air between them, and Rebecca felt her heart break a little. Mia, your daddy is getting the very best care right now. The doctors and nurses are giving him medicine to help his heart work better and to help him breathe easier. He's in the right place to get better. But you don't know for sure, do you? Nobody knows for sure. Rebecca set down her coffee and turned to face Mia completely. You're right. I don't know for sure. But here's what I do know. Your daddy loves you so much. Even when he was sitting on that kitchen floor and couldn't breathe right, he was worried about you. He wanted to make sure you were safe. That kind of love is really strong, Mia. It's the strongest thing in the world. Strong enough to make him get better? I think love like that gives people a really good reason to fight to get better. And your daddy has the best reason. He has you. Mia thought about this, taking another sip of her hot chocolate. Rebecca, do you have a daddy? The question caught Rebecca off guard. I do. Well, I did. He passed away 3 years ago. What happened to him? Children, Rebecca thought, had a way of asking the most difficult questions with complete innocence. He got very sick, cancer, and the doctors tried really hard to help him, but sometimes medicine can't fix everything. Mia's eyes widened. That's really sad. It is. It was the saddest thing that ever happened to me and my mom. Is that why you're a police officer? Because you want to help people so other families don't have to be sad? Rebecca felt her throat tighten at this 6-year-old's insight. Maybe partly. I became a police officer because I wanted to be there for people when they needed help the most. Like your daddy taught you. Find a police officer, because police officers help people. My daddy is really smart, Mia said proudly. He teaches me lots of things, like how to call 911 if there's an emergency, and how to remember our address by making it into a song, and how to tell which strangers are safe to ask for help, like police officers and firefighters and people who work at stores. Your daddy taught you very well. They sat together, finishing their breakfast, and Rebecca found herself telling Mia about her job, the good parts, the helping parts, about the time she found a lost dog and reunited it with a crying little boy, about the elderly man she helped when he fell and couldn't get up, about the community events where kids got to sit in the police car and turn on the sirens. 45 minutes passed. Mia was in the middle of asking whether police cars could really go as fast as race cars when Nurse Patricia appeared in the doorway. Mia, your daddy is awake and asking for you. Mia jumped up so fast she nearly dropped Mr. Tumbles. He's okay? He's really okay? He's much better, honey. Still very tired, but better. Come on. Mia grabbed Rebecca's hand automatically. You're coming too, right? If it's okay with the nurse, Patricia nodded. Family can come in. As they walked down the hallway, Mia looked up at Rebecca. She said family. You're not family, but you're still coming, right? I'm coming. Sometimes friends are family too. They entered a treatment bay where Thomas lay in a hospital bed, an IV in his arm, monitoring equipment beeping softly beside him, and oxygen running through a nasal cannula instead of the full mask. But his eyes were clear now, fully focused, and when he saw Mia, his face transformed with relief and love. Mia Bean, he said, his voice hoarse but strong. He held out his arms. Daddy. Mia rushed to the bedside, and Thomas pulled her into as much of a hug as the IV lines and monitors would allow. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry I scared you. It's okay, Daddy. I did what you taught me. I found Rebecca, and she helped us just like you said would happen. Thomas looked over Mia's head at Rebecca, who stood quietly near the door. His eyes were red-rimmed with exhaustion and emotion, and she could see gratitude and something else. Shame, perhaps, etched into his face. You stayed with her, he said quietly. You didn't have to do that. Actually, Rebecca said, stepping closer, I think I did. A doctor entered, Dr. Sarah Martinez, according to her badge, a woman in her 40s with compassionate eyes and gray-streaked black hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. Mr. Cooper, how are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck, Thomas said honestly. But I can breathe again, so that's a pretty big improvement. Dr. Martinez pulled up a rolling stool and sat down, her tablet in hand. Let's talk about what happened this morning. Mia told the paramedics that you have atrial fibrillation and haven't been able to take your medication for about 3 weeks. Is that correct? Thomas looked ashamed, his arm still around Mia. Yes, my insurance lapsed when my work hours got cut. I tried to stretch what I had left, taking half doses, but I ran out completely about 3 weeks ago. Mr. Cooper, you had acute decompensated heart failure. In layman's terms, your heart wasn't pumping efficiently because it wasn't maintaining a proper rhythm and fluid built up in your lungs. That's why you couldn't breathe. If Mia hadn't gotten help when she did, she paused meaningfully. This could have been much more serious. Mia looked up at her father with wide eyes. Daddy, the doctor is saying I really did save your life. Thomas kissed the top of her head, his eyes filling with tears. You absolutely did, sweetheart. You were so brave and so smart. What does Mr. Cooper need now? Rebecca asked from her spot near the door. Dr. Martinez consulted her tablet. We're giving him IV diuretics to remove the excess fluid from his lungs, and we've restarted his anticoagulant and beta blocker medications. His heart rhythm is already stabilizing. We'll need to keep him for observation, probably 48 hours, to make sure the medications are working and the fluid doesn't return. 48 hours? Thomas looked panicked. But Mia, I can't leave her alone for 2 days. There's no one else. That's actually what I need to discuss, Dr. Martinez said gently. We have a social worker who can help arrange— No. The word came out sharp and scared. No social workers. No foster care. Please, Mia stays with me. Daddy, what's foster care? Mia asked, sensing her father's fear. Before Thomas could answer, Rebecca spoke up. Dr. Martinez, can I speak with you privately for a moment? They stepped out into the hallway, leaving Mia with her father. Officer Hayes, I understand you want to help, but there are protocols. I know the protocols, Rebecca said. But Dr. Martinez, that little girl has been through enough this morning. Her father isn't neglecting her. He got sick because he couldn't afford medication, not because he was irresponsible. Separating them right now would be traumatic for both of them. What are you suggesting? Give me a few hours. I'm going to make some calls, talk to people I know who might be able to help with the medication costs and the documentation issues. My mother is on her way here. She's retired, she has time, and she's great with kids. Between the two of us, we can make sure Mia is cared for while Thomas is in the hospital. Dr. Martinez studied Rebecca for a long moment. You're going above and beyond for a family you just met this morning. Sometimes that's what people need, someone to go above and beyond. All right, I'll hold off on calling the social worker for now, but Officer Hayes, I need you to understand, if there's any indication that Mia isn't being properly cared for, I'm legally obligated to report it. I understand completely, and you won't need to, I promise. When they returned to the room, Mia was showing her father Mr. Tumbles and explaining how Rebecca had bought her hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. Mr. Cooper, Thomas, Rebecca said, my mother is on her way here. She was a kindergarten teacher for 35 years, and she's wonderful with children. With your permission, Mia can stay with us while you're in the hospital. We'll bring her to visit you every day, and we'll make sure she's safe and fed and taken care of. Thomas stared at her, his expression a mixture of disbelief and desperate hope. Why would you do that? You don't even know us. I know that your daughter loves you enough to run 3 blocks barefoot to save your life. I know that you taught her exactly what to do in an emergency. I know that you're a good father who's had some bad luck. That's enough for me. Daddy, Mia said, tugging on his hospital gown, can I stay with Rebecca? She's really nice, and she promised we could come visit you every single day. Thomas looked at his daughter, then at Rebecca, then back at Mia. Tears slipped down his cheeks. If Officer Rebecca is willing to help us like that, then yes, baby, yes. Mia threw her arms around Rebecca's waist. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rebecca wrapped her arms around this brave little girl and felt something shift inside her chest, something that had been closed off for 3 long years since the day her father died. She was letting herself care again, and it terrified her. But looking at Thomas's grateful face and feeling Mia's small arms around her waist, Rebecca knew she'd made the right choice. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open your heart again, even when you're afraid it might break. Martha Hayes arrived at the hospital carrying 2 shopping bags and wearing the kind smile that had comforted thousands of children over her teaching career. "You must be Mia," Martha said warmly when Rebecca introduced them in the waiting room. "Rebecca told me about how brave you were this morning." Mia studied Martha carefully, the way children do when meeting new adults. "Are you Rebecca's mommy?" "I am. And I heard you have a daddy who's getting better upstairs. That must have been very scary for you." Mia nodded, clutching Mr. Tumbles. "It was, but Rebecca helped us." "Rebecca is very good at helping people," Martha said, sitting down beside Mia. "When she was little, just about your age, she once found a lost kitten and walked through the whole neighborhood until she found its family. She wouldn't give up, even when it started raining." Mia's eyes widened. "Really?" "Really. Some people are just born helpers. I think you might be one of those people too." "Because I saved my daddy?" "Because you knew what to do when things got scary, and you were brave enough to do it." Rebecca watched her mother work her magic, and within minutes Mia was showing Martha her stuffed elephant and explaining the significance of his name. Dr. Martinez appeared with an update. "Mr. Cooper is being moved to a room upstairs. He's stable and responding well to treatment. You're welcome to visit, but he needs rest." They went up to Thomas's room, a small private room with a window overlooking the parking lot. Thomas was settled in bed, looking exhausted but significantly better than he had in the emergency room. "Daddy!" Mia carefully climbed onto a chair beside the bed so she could reach him better. "Hey, Mia Bean," Thomas took her small hand. "How are you doing?" "I'm okay. I had hot chocolate and a muffin, and this is Rebecca's mommy, Miss Martha. She's really nice, and she told me a story about when Rebecca was little." Thomas looked at Martha, who stood beside Rebecca near the door. "Ma'am, I understand you've offered to help with Mia while I'm here. I can't tell you how much that means." "Mr. Cooper." "Thomas, please." "Thomas," Martha smiled warmly. "I raised a daughter who became a police officer because she wanted to help people. Helping your family honors the kindness others showed us when we needed it. My husband passed away 3 years ago, and during his illness, neighbors and strangers alike helped us in ways I can never repay. This is how I pay it forward." Thomas's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say except thank you." "You don't need to say anything except yes." They stayed for another hour, Mia telling her father about everything that had happened: the ambulance ride, the hospital waiting room, meeting Martha. Thomas listened, his hand never letting go of Mia's, his eyes constantly checking to make sure she was really okay. Eventually, a nurse came in to check Thomas's vitals and suggested he get some rest. "Mia," Thomas said gently, "I need you to go with Rebecca and Miss Martha now. They're going to take you to Miss Martha's house, and you're going to stay there while I get better. But we'll talk on the phone tonight before bed, okay? And tomorrow you can come visit me again." Mia's bottom lip trembled. "I don't want to leave you." "I know, baby. But I need you to be brave just a little bit longer. Can you do that for me?" Mia nodded, wiping her eyes. "I can be brave, but Daddy?" "Yes?" "You have to promise to keep getting better. Promise you'll take your medicine and do everything the doctors say." Thomas smiled through his own tears. "I promise, Mia Bean, I promise." Martha's house was a charming 2-story colonial with a wraparound porch and a garden that looked like it belonged in a magazine. As Rebecca pulled into the driveway following her mother's car, Mia pressed her face against the window. "Wow," she whispered. "This is like a house from a storybook." Martha was waiting on the porch, having stopped to pick up a few things. "Welcome, Mia. Let me show you around." Inside, the house smelled like cinnamon and vanilla. Martha had clearly been busy because the guest room had been prepared, fresh sheets on the bed with a cheerful yellow quilt. a stack of children's books on the nightstand, and a small vase of flowers on the dresser. "This will be your room while you're staying with us," Martha said. "You can arrange your things however you like, and that's your bathroom right through there." Mia walked slowly into the room, taking it all in. She set Mr. Tumbles carefully on the bed, then turned to Martha and Rebecca with tears in her eyes. "Why are you being so nice to me? You don't even know me." Martha knelt down, her eyes meeting Mia's. "Sweetheart, do you know what I learned in my 35 years of teaching?" "What?" "That kindness doesn't require knowing someone for a long time. Kindness just requires seeing that someone needs help and choosing to give it. You and your daddy need help right now, and we have the ability to give it. It's really that simple." "But what if Daddy can't pay you back? What if we don't have enough money?" Rebecca sat down on the bed and patted the spot beside her. Mia climbed up, sitting between Rebecca and Martha. "Mia," Rebecca said gently, "real help doesn't come with a bill attached. We're not keeping track of what you owe us. We're helping because that's what people should do for each other. Daddy always says we have to pay our own way, that we can't take charity." "Your daddy has been paying his own way," Martha said. "He's been working hard and taking care of you. But Mia, even the strongest people need help sometimes. That doesn't make them weak. It makes them human." Mia thought about this seriously. "So it's okay to accept help?" "It's not just okay," Rebecca said. "Sometimes accepting help is the bravest thing you can do, because it means admitting you can't do everything alone." "Oh," Mia said softly. "Then, can I call my daddy now? I want to tell him about the pretty room." That evening, after Mia had talked to Thomas on the phone and eaten dinner, Martha's famous chicken and dumplings, which made Mia declare it was the best thing she'd ever tasted, they settled in the living room. Martha brought out an old photo album. "Mia, would you like to see pictures of Rebecca when she was about your age?" Mia's eyes lit up. "Yes, please." They spent the next hour looking through photos. Young Rebecca in her first day of school. Rebecca at a birthday party with frosting on her nose. Rebecca dressed as a police officer for Halloween when she was 7. "You wanted to be a police officer even when you were little?" Mia asked, amazed. "Ever since I was 5, Rebecca confirmed. My dad took me to a community safety day, and I got to sit in a police car and meet officers who helped people. I decided right then that's what I wanted to do when I grew up." "Did your daddy teach you to be brave like my daddy teaches me?" Rebecca felt her throat tighten. "He did. He taught me a lot of things." "Do you miss him?" "Every single day." Mia looked at the photo album, then at Rebecca. "I think your daddy would be really proud of you because you helped people just like you wanted to when you were little." Rebecca had to blink back tears. "Thank you, Mia. That means a lot." At bedtime, Mia changed into pajamas Martha had quickly bought that afternoon, soft pink ones with stars. She brushed her teeth and washed her face, and then Martha tucked her into the guest bed with Mr. Tumbles beside her. "Miss Martha," Mia said, as Martha was about to turn off the light. "Yes, sweetheart?" "Thank you for the pretty room and the good dinner, and for being nice to me even though you just met me today." Martha sat on the edge of the bed and brushed a curl from Mia's forehead. "You are very welcome. Sleep well, dear. Rebecca and I will be right downstairs if you need anything." "Miss Martha, one more thing?" "What's that?" "I'm really glad Rebecca found you when she was looking for a mommy. You're a really good mommy." Martha's eyes filled with tears. "And I'm very glad I have Rebecca. Now close your eyes and think happy thoughts. Tomorrow we'll go see your daddy again." Downstairs, Rebecca and Martha sat in the kitchen with cups of tea. "She's remarkable," Martha said quietly. 6 years old, and she's handled this whole ordeal with more grace than most adults would. "She reminds me of Dad," Rebecca said. "The way she stays calm in a crisis, but lets herself feel things when it's safe." "She reminds me of you," Martha countered. "You were just like that at her age. Brave on the outside, tender on the inside." Rebecca sipped her tea. "Mom, what am I doing? I'm getting involved with this family, and I barely know them. What if I'm making things worse? What if I'm overstepping? Are you helping them? Yes, but are they grateful for the help? Yes. Is Mia safe and cared for? Of course, but then you're not overstepping, Martha said firmly. Becca, I've watched you for 3 years. Ever since your father died, you've been going through the motions, working yourself to exhaustion, taking every extra shift, never letting yourself get close to anyone. Like if you just stayed busy enough, you wouldn't have to feel anything. Rebecca stared into her teacup. And now, here's this little girl who needed help, and suddenly, you're not running anymore. You're present. You're engaged. You care about what happens to them. What if I care too much? What if they don't need me once Thomas gets better? Then you'll have made a difference in their lives when they needed it most, and that will be enough. But Rebecca, what if they do need you? What if this is the beginning of something important? Like what? Martha smiled. Like family. Not the kind you're born with, but the kind you choose. The next morning, Mia woke to the smell of pancakes, real ones made with love, not the ones that had spilled across her kitchen floor yesterday morning. She padded downstairs in her new pajamas, Mr. Tumbles under her arm, to find Martha at the stove and Rebecca setting the table. "Good morning, sunshine," Martha said cheerfully. "How did you sleep?" "Really good. The bed is super comfy, but I dreamed about Daddy." "Good dreams or worried dreams?" Rebecca asked. "A little bit both. In my dream he was making pancakes like he always does on Saturday, but then the pancakes turned into birds and flew away." Mia climbed into a chair. "I think that means I'm worried, but also hopeful. Miss Patterson, my teacher, says dreams are how our feelings talk to us when we're sleeping." "Your teacher sounds very wise," Martha said, bringing a plate of pancakes to the table. "And speaking of your daddy, we're going to go visit him right after breakfast." Mia's face brightened immediately. "Really? We can go now." "After we eat and get dressed," Rebecca said with a smile. "Hospital rules say we can't visit in our pajamas." At the hospital, they found Thomas sitting up in bed, looking significantly better. The bluish tint around his lips was completely gone, his color was good, and when he saw Mia, his whole face lit up. "Mia Bean." "Daddy, you look so much better." Mia carefully climbed onto the chair beside his bed. "Miss Martha made pancakes this morning, and they were really good, but not as good as yours. And I have my own room with yellow blankets and flowers, and Mr. Tumbles has his own pillow." Thomas laughed, the sound genuine and relieved. "It sounds like you're being very well taken care of." "I am, Daddy. Miss Martha and Rebecca are really nice, but I still miss you." "I miss you too, baby, but guess what? The doctor said if I keep getting better, I might be able to come home tomorrow instead of waiting another whole day." "Tomorrow?" Mia bounced with excitement. "Really, truly?" "Really, truly. As long as my heart keeps beating the right way and I don't have any more fluid in my lungs." Dr. Martinez appeared for her morning rounds. "Good morning, everyone. Thomas, how are you feeling today?" "Much better. I can breathe easily, and I actually slept last night." "Excellent. Let me listen to your lungs." She used her stethoscope, listening carefully. "Much clearer. The diuretics are working well, and your heart rhythm has been stable all night." She made notes on her tablet. "I'm optimistic about discharge tomorrow afternoon, but we'll need to address the medication situation before you leave." "About that," Rebecca said, "I've made some calls. I have a contact at the County Health Services Department who specializes in emergency medical assistance. Would it be okay if I gave them Thomas's information?" Thomas looked surprised. "You've been making calls about my situation? I hope that's okay. I just thought—" "It's more than okay," Thomas interrupted, his voice thick with emotion. "I've been trying to navigate the system for months, making phone calls during my breaks at work, getting bounced from department to department, never getting anywhere. You've known us for 1 day, and you're already doing more than I've been able to do in months." "I have the advantage of knowing who to call and what to ask for," Rebecca said. "That's not a reflection on you, Thomas. The system is deliberately complicated. Dr. Martinez nodded. Officer Hayes is right. Many of my patients struggle with accessing assistance programs, not because they're not trying, but because the process is intentionally difficult to navigate. Mr. Cooper, if Officer Hayes can help facilitate this, I strongly encourage you to accept. I accept, Thomas said immediately, and thank you. Truly. After Dr. Martinez left, Mia showed her father the drawings she'd made the night before. Pictures of the hospital, pictures of Martha's house, pictures of Rebecca in her police uniform. You're a wonderful artist, Mia Bean, Thomas said, admiring each drawing. Miss Martha helped me. She has lots of good crayons. Mia paused, then said carefully, Daddy, is it okay that I like staying with Rebecca and Miss Martha? I mean, I'd rather be home with you, but since I can't be, is it okay that I'm having a good time? Thomas pulled her close. Mia, it is absolutely okay. In fact, it makes me feel better knowing you're happy and safe. You don't have to feel guilty about enjoying yourself. But I feel bad that you're here alone, and I'm eating pancakes and having fun. Listen to me, Thomas said, tilting her chin up so she could see his face. You being happy is the best medicine I could possibly have. Knowing you're taken care of gives me peace, so I can focus on getting better. Okay? Okay, Daddy. Rebecca watched this exchange and marveled at Thomas's parenting. Even in a hospital bed, worried about bills and medication and his future, his first priority was making sure his daughter didn't feel guilty for being cared for. That afternoon, Rebecca made good on her promise. She called Maria Santos at the Department of Health Services, a contact she'd developed over years of police work. Maria, it's Rebecca Hayes. I need your help with something. Rebecca, it's been months. How are you? I'm good. Listen, I responded to a call yesterday. A single father with atrial fibrillation who had a medical emergency because he couldn't afford his heart medication. He's got a 6-year-old daughter, he's employed, but uninsured, and he's been trying to navigate the assistance programs on his own without success. Let me guess. He keeps getting bounced around between departments, each one telling him he needs different documentation. Exactly, Maria sighed. It happens too often. These assistance programs exist to help people, but the process is so complicated that many people who qualify never actually get the help. Give me his information. I'll personally walk his case through the system. Rebecca provided Thomas's details, and Maria promised to have preliminary results within 48 hours. One more thing, Maria said. The patient assistance programs through pharmaceutical companies can cover up to 80% of medication costs for people who qualify. Combined with the county program, he should be looking at about $50 a month out of pocket instead of $600. $50? Rebecca felt relief wash over her. That's manageable. That's the goal. Nobody should have to choose between medication and food, Rebecca. I'm glad you called. This is exactly the kind of case I can help with. That evening, Rebecca stopped by the hospital alone while Martha stayed home with Mia. She wanted to talk to Thomas without his daughter present. She found him awake, reading a book someone had left in the room. Rebecca, he said, setting the book aside. I wasn't expecting you. Is Mia okay? She's fine. She and my mom are making cookies. I wanted to talk to you about tomorrow. About me coming home? About after you come home. Rebecca pulled up a chair. Thomas, I talked to someone at Health Services today. She's going to expedite your application for medical assistance. She thinks we can get your medication costs down to about $50 a month. Thomas stared at her. $50? That's manageable? That's life-changing. His voice cracked. I've been trying to figure out how to afford $600 a month. I was looking at picking up a second job, which would mean less time with Mia, or moving to a cheaper apartment, which would mean pulling Mia out of her school. I didn't know how to make it work. You don't have to figure it out alone anymore. Thomas was quiet for a moment, then said, Rebecca, why are you doing all this? And please don't just say, because it's the right thing to do. There's more to it than that. I can see it. Rebecca took a breath. This was the question she'd been avoiding, even in her own mind. 3 years ago, my father died, she said slowly. Cancer. It happened fast, 3 months from diagnosis to death. And during that time, I tried to be strong for my mom, strong for him, strong for everyone. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Thomas listened without interrupting. But I wasn't strong. I was terrified and sad and angry, and I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to let people in. And after he died, I just shut down. I went through the motions. I worked constantly, took every extra shift, never let myself feel anything. That sounds lonely. It was. And then yesterday, Mia ran up to my patrol car, scared and crying and asking for help. And she trusted me completely, without hesitation. She showed me what it looks like to be brave enough to ask for help. Rebecca looked at Thomas directly. I'm helping you because Mia reminded me why I became a police officer in the first place, but also because helping you is helping me remember how to care about people again, how to let myself be part of something. So we're helping each other, Thomas said quietly. Maybe we are. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Rebecca, when I get out of here tomorrow, when life goes back to normal, I'd like to stay in touch, if that's okay with you. I think Mia would like that too. I'd like that very much. And maybe, Thomas added carefully, once I'm back on my feet, I could make you and your mother dinner as a thank you. I'm actually a decent cook when I'm not collapsing on the kitchen floor, Rebecca laughed. That sounds perfect. Sunday afternoon arrived with clear skies and warm sunshine. Thomas was officially discharged with a bag full of medications, a detailed care plan, and strict instructions to follow up with a cardiologist within the week. Rebecca and Martha picked him up with Mia bouncing excitedly in the back seat. Daddy, you're really coming home. I'm really coming home, Mia Bean. The ride back to Greenwood Avenue was filled with Mia's chatter, telling her father everything about her stay with Martha and Rebecca, showing him the drawings she'd made, explaining in detail about the cookies they'd baked. As they pulled up to the yellow house, Thomas noticed immediately that something was different. The lawn had been mowed, the tomato plants had been watered and staked properly. The porch had been swept clean, and someone had even fixed the loose step that had been wobbly for months. What? Thomas looked at Rebecca questioningly. I might have called a few neighbors, Rebecca admitted. Dave Wilson from 2 streets over came by with his lawnmower. Mrs. Chen next door watered your plants. The Johnsons fixed your step because Mr. Johnson used to be a carpenter. When did you have time to organize all this? Yesterday afternoon while you were napping. I just made a few phone calls. People like to help, Thomas. They just need to know how. Inside, there were more surprises. The kitchen had been cleaned. The spilled pancake batter wiped away, dishes done, counters sparkling. Fresh flowers sat in a mason jar on the dining table. And the refrigerator had been stocked with basics: milk, eggs, bread, fresh vegetables. Who did all this? Thomas asked, his voice thick with emotion. Mrs. Chen and I came over yesterday, Martha said. We just tidied up a bit, and the groceries are from the community fund at my church. They specifically help families going through medical crises. Thomas stood in the middle of his small kitchen, looking around at all these acts of kindness from people he barely knew or had never met. His shoulders began to shake. Hey, Rebecca said gently, touching his arm. It's okay. I've been trying so hard to do everything myself, Thomas said, wiping his eyes, to prove I could take care of Mia on my own, to prove her maternal grandparents were wrong when they said I couldn't provide for her properly, and I've been so scared that if I asked for help, someone would decide I was failing and take her away. You're not failing, Martha said firmly. You got sick. That's not the same as failing. And Thomas, the people who really fail are the ones who have resources and choose not to use them to help others. You're not that person. Mia wrapped her arms around her father's waist. Daddy, you're the best daddy ever. Even when you're sick, you're still the best. They spent the afternoon helping Thomas settle back in. Martha made soup, Easy on your stomach after hospital food, she explained, while Rebecca went through Thomas's medication schedule with him, setting up a pill organizer and phone alarms to remind him when to take each dose. This is a lot to keep track of, Thomas said, looking at the array of pill bottles. It is at first, Rebecca agreed, but it'll become routine. And Thomas, Maria from Health Services is going to call you tomorrow. She'll help you get enrolled in the assistance programs, so this is affordable going forward. I still can't believe this is really happening, that in 2 days my whole situation has turned around. It's not just luck, Rebecca said. You took care of yourself and Mia as best you could. You taught her what to do in an emergency, and when the crisis came, she knew exactly how to get help. You did that, Thomas. You prepared her for this. Later, as the sun began to set, and it was time for Rebecca and Martha to leave, Mia hugged them both tightly. Thank you for taking care of me while Daddy was sick, she said seriously. And thank you for helping Daddy get his medicine fixed. You're really good helpers. You're very welcome, sweetheart, Martha said, kissing the top of her head. And remember, if you need anything at all, you call us. Okay? Okay. Can I still come visit you sometimes, even though Daddy's better now? Martha and Rebecca exchanged glances. Of course you can, Martha said. In fact, how about you come over next Saturday? We could make more cookies or work in the garden, or anything you'd like. Really? Really? At the door, Thomas shook Rebecca's hand, then pulled her into a hug. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. It's plenty, Rebecca said. Just take care of yourself and that amazing little girl. I will. And Rebecca, I meant what I said about staying in touch. So did I. Driving home, Martha glanced at her daughter. You care about them? It wasn't a question. I do, Rebecca admitted. Good. They're worth caring about. And Becca, you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to let new people into your life. It doesn't mean you're forgetting your father. I know, Mom. I'm starting to understand that. Over the next 3 weeks, a routine developed that surprised everyone, perhaps Rebecca most of all. She would stop by the Yellow House on Greenwood Avenue after her shifts, usually around dinner time. Sometimes she'd bring food, pizza, Chinese takeout, or meals Martha had cooked. Other times she'd just sit at their kitchen table while Thomas made dinner and Mia did her homework, the three of them talking about their days. Rebecca learned that Thomas had worked as a delivery driver for a medical supply company for the past 4 years. Before Mia's mother died, he'd been studying web design but had to put that on hold to focus on single parenting and paying the bills. She learned that Mia was obsessed with elephants, hence Mr. Tumbles, that she could name every planet in order and tell you 3 facts about each one, and that she'd made her teacher cry by writing a story called The Day I Saved My Daddy. Thomas learned that Rebecca had joined the police force 6 months after her father died, wanting to help people the way the first responders had helped her family. He learned that she was terrible at cooking, but excellent at assembling furniture and fixing things. That she'd wanted to be a veterinarian as a child, just like Mia, but was afraid of snakes, which she figured eliminated that career path. And slowly, carefully, something was building between them. Not just friendship, though it was definitely that. Something warmer, something that made Rebecca's heart beat faster when Thomas smiled at her. Something that made Thomas linger at the door when Rebecca was leaving, finding one more thing to say. But neither of them acknowledged it out loud. Thomas was still getting his health stable, still navigating the assistance programs with Maria's help, still rebuilding his confidence. And Rebecca was still learning how to let people in, how to trust that caring about someone wouldn't end in loss. Mia, however, saw what the adults were trying to ignore. One evening, 3 weeks after Thomas came home from the hospital, Mia approached Martha in the kitchen of Martha's house. It was Saturday, and Mia had come over for her weekly visit, something that had become a cherished tradition. Miss Martha, Mia said carefully, measuring flour into a bowl for the cookies they were making. Yes, sweetheart? Do you think my daddy likes Rebecca? Martha hid a smile. What makes you ask that? Because he smiles different when she's around, Like, he always smiles at me, but that's a daddy smile. When Rebecca comes over, he does this other smile that's different. And sometimes he touches his hair a lot, which I think means he's nervous. And what about Rebecca? Do you think she likes your daddy? Mia thought seriously about this, carefully stirring the flour. I think so. She laughs more when Daddy tells stories. And yesterday, when Daddy reached across the table to help me with my math homework, Rebecca watched him with this soft look on her face, like she thought he was really special. They are both special, Martha said carefully. And sometimes when two special people spend time together, they become very good friends. But what if they could be more than friends? Mia asked hopefully. What if they could be like a family, a bigger family? Martha knelt down to Mia's level. Mia, honey, you and your daddy are already a real family, just the two of you. Families come in all different shapes and sizes. I know, but... Mia's eyes filled with tears. But wouldn't it be nice if we had more people? If Rebecca was with us all the time? If we didn't have to say goodbye at the end of the day? Oh, sweetheart, Martha hugged her. Is that what you're worried about? That Rebecca will stop coming around? Mia nodded against Martha's shoulder. What if she decides being our friend is too much work? What if she gets tired of us? Martha pulled back to look at Mia's face. Listen to me. Rebecca isn't going to get tired of you. I've watched my daughter for 36 years, and I've never seen her care about anyone the way she cares about you and your daddy. You've become part of her life, and she's not going anywhere. Really? Really. But Mia, these things take time. Your daddy is still getting healthy. Rebecca is still learning how to let people close to her again after losing her father. They need to figure things out at their own pace. Can I help them figure it out faster? Martha laughed. How would you do that? Mia's eyes sparkled with determination. I have ideas. The next Saturday, Mia announced she wanted to have a picnic. Not just any picnic, a special one in Laurelhurst Park, with all her favorite people. Can we, Daddy? Please? Rebecca has Saturday off, and Miss Martha said she'd make fried chicken, and we could play frisbee and everything. Thomas looked at his daughter with amused suspicion. This seems very specifically planned, Mia Bean. It's just a picnic, Daddy, a nice family picnic with our friends. Thomas called Rebecca. So apparently we're having a picnic this Saturday. Does that work for you? Rebecca laughed. Mia already called my mom, who called me to make sure I didn't have any plans. I think we've been outmaneuvered by a 6-year-old. Should we be concerned? Probably, but I'm free Saturday if you are. At the park, Mia was on a mission. She made sure Thomas and Rebecca sat next to each other on the picnic blanket. When they played frisbee, she insisted they be partners. When it was time to eat, she conveniently forgot to bring enough napkins, then suggested her daddy share with Rebecca. Martha watched all this with barely concealed amusement. After lunch, Mia asked Martha to push her on the swings, leaving Thomas and Rebecca alone on the blanket. She's not subtle, is she? Thomas said, watching his daughter pump her legs on the swing. Not even a little bit, Rebecca agreed, laughing. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching clouds drift across the blue sky. Rebecca, Thomas said quietly, can I tell you something? Of course. The last month since the hospital having you in our lives, it's been the happiest I've been in years, maybe since before Mia's mother got sick, and that scares me. Why does it scare you? Because I don't want to start depending on something that might not last. When Karen died, when I suddenly became a single father, I built walls around myself and Mia. I told myself we didn't need anyone else, that we'd be fine, just the two of us. And we were fine mostly. But now I'm realizing how lonely fine was, how much I was missing by keeping everyone at arm's length. Rebecca was quiet for a moment, then said, I know what you mean. After my dad died, I built walls too. I told myself I was too busy for relationships, too focused on my career. But really, I was just scared of caring about someone and losing them. And now? Now I'm still scared, but I'm also realizing that being scared isn't a good enough reason to miss out on something good. Thomas turned to look at her. Is this something good, what we're building here? I think so, don't you? I do, but Rebecca, I come with a lot of complications. I'm a single parent. I have a chronic health condition. I'm not exactly financially stable. You could have, I don't know, someone without all this baggage. Thomas, Rebecca said firmly, I don't want someone without baggage. I want someone real, someone who shows up for his daughter even when he's struggling, someone who teaches her to be brave and kind, someone who makes her chocolate chip pancakes on Saturday mornings. She paused. I want you. Thomas's breath caught. Rebecca. And I want Mia. I want homework help and bedtime stories and visits to the park. I want all of it. Even though it's complicated, especially because it's complicated, because complicated means real. It means it matters. From the swings, Mia watched them talking and turned to Martha with a triumphant grin. Look, they're talking really seriously and looking at each other a lot. I think my plan is working. Martha laughed and gave her a high five. You're a very smart little girl, Mia Cooper. I know, Mia said proudly. I get it from my daddy. That evening, after Martha had taken Mia home for a sleepover, another part of Mia's plan, Thomas and Rebecca stood on the porch of the yellow house, neither quite ready to say goodnight. So, Thomas said, my daughter is apparently trying to set us up. Apparently. And she's recruited my mother to help. It appears so? They looked at each other and started laughing. Thomas, Rebecca said when they'd caught their breath. What do you want? Not what Mia wants, not what you think you should want. What do you actually want? Thomas looked at her for a long moment. I want to stop being afraid. I want to take a chance on something good even though it scares me. He reached for her hand. I want to see where this goes, with you, if you're willing. Rebecca laced her fingers through his. I'm willing. Even though I have a very opinionated 6-year-old who's going to be unbearable when she finds out she was right? Especially because of that. Thomas pulled her closer, his free hand coming up to cup her face. Can I kiss you? I thought you'd never ask. The kiss was gentle and sweet and felt like coming home. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. So, Thomas said, we're really doing this? We're really doing this? Mia is going to lose her mind with excitement. Your mother is going to say, I told you so approximately 1,000 times. Worth it, Thomas said, kissing her again. 4 weeks into their relationship, officially acknowledged now, with hand-holding and goodnight kisses, and Mia's delighted approval, things were going remarkably well. Thomas's health was stable, his medication affordable through the assistance programs Maria had helped him access. He'd even picked up some freelance web design work, bringing in extra income and rekindling a passion he'd thought he'd have to abandon forever. Rebecca had essentially become part of the family, her presence in the yellow house as natural as breathing. She had her own spot at the dinner table, her own coffee mug in the cabinet, and her own drawer in Mia's room for the children's books she kept buying. It felt almost too good to be true, which is perhaps why neither of them was entirely surprised when complications arose. It started with a phone call on a Tuesday morning. Thomas was at work, Mia was at school, and Rebecca was on her way home from her night shift when her phone rang. Officer Hayes, this is Jennifer Walsh from Child Protective Services. I need to schedule a home visit regarding Mia Cooper. Rebecca's blood ran cold. What? Why? We received a report from a concerned party about the child's living situation and her father's medical condition. We're obligated to investigate any report we receive. I'd like to schedule a visit with Mr. Cooper within the next 48 hours. Who filed the report? I can't disclose that information, but the allegations include concerns about Mr. Cooper's ability to provide adequate care given his heart condition and questions about the appropriateness of his relationship with you, a police officer he had only known for a short time before beginning a romantic relationship. Rebecca felt anger surge through her chest. This is ridiculous. Thomas is an excellent father. Mia is healthy, happy, well cared for. I'm not making accusations, Officer Hayes. I'm simply following protocol. We have to investigate every report. I'll need to see Mr. Cooper's home, speak with him and Mia, and assess the situation. After the call, Rebecca sat in her car outside her apartment, her hands shaking. She needed to tell Thomas, but she didn't want to scare him. She needed to figure out who had filed the report and why. She called Thomas. "Hey, are you on break?" "Just started. What's up? You sound stressed." "I need to tell you something, and I need you to stay calm." She explained about the CPS call, and she could hear Thomas's breathing change through the phone. "Someone reported us? Who would do that?" "I don't know. Do you have any idea who might have an issue with your parenting or with our relationship?" Thomas was quiet for a moment. Then, "Mia's maternal grandparents, Robert and Susan Bennett. They've been trying to get custody of Mia since Karen died. They think I can't provide for her properly. They've never approved of me. They live in Seattle, but they have a lawyer who sends me letters every few months." "Have they been in contact recently?" "Not directly, but last month I got another letter from their lawyer suggesting we discuss Mia's living arrangements and implying that my medical condition made me an unfit parent. I threw it away. I thought they'd given up." "They haven't given up. They've escalated." "Rebecca, what if CPS sides with them? What if they decide I'm not capable? What if they take Mia?" She could hear the panic in his voice, and it broke her heart. "They're not going to take Mia? She's loved, she's healthy, she's thriving. We just need to show them that clearly. When's the home visit scheduled?" "Thursday afternoon. The caseworker specifically said it would be better if you weren't present during the investigation." Rebecca felt a chill. "She said that?" "She said that having you there might complicate things since you're named in the report as someone who may be inappropriately involved with the family." "Thomas, It's okay, I understand. This is about me proving I can take care of Mia, and I can. I've been doing it for 6 years." But Rebecca could hear the fear beneath his brave words. That evening, Rebecca went to Thomas's house. They'd agreed that Mia shouldn't know about the CPS investigation. No need to scare her. So they waited until she was in bed before discussing strategy. "I've been thinking about this all day," Thomas said, pacing his living room. "I know what they're going to look at. They'll check that the house is clean. It is. That Mia has her own room with appropriate sleeping arrangements. She does. That there's food in the house. There is. That my medical records show I'm managing my condition. They do. Then you're prepared. But what about the allegations about us? About how quickly our relationship developed? What if they think I'm being irresponsible by introducing Mia to someone I'd only known a few weeks?" Rebecca sat beside him on the couch. "Thomas, any reasonable person would understand that our relationship developed naturally from an extraordinary situation. You didn't meet me at a bar and bring me home that same night. I responded to a medical emergency, I helped your family, and we developed feelings over time. But what if they're not reasonable? What if they're looking for any excuse to side with Mia's grandparents? Then we fight. Thomas, I'm not going anywhere. Whatever happens with CPS, we face it together." "But that's just it. You can't be there Thursday. They specifically said—" "I know what they said. But I can be here before, and I can be here after. And if necessary, I can provide a statement as a character witness." Thomas pulled her close. "I'm scared, Rebecca. I've spent 6 years building this life with Mia. I've worked so hard to be a good father. And now, someone's trying to take that away based on lies and manipulation. We're going to prove them wrong." Thursday afternoon arrived too quickly. Rebecca wanted desperately to be there for the home visit, but she respected the caseworker's request and stayed away, waiting anxiously at her apartment for Thomas to call. At the Yellow House, Jennifer Walsh arrived precisely on time, a woman in her 50s with a professional demeanor and a clipboard. "Mr. Cooper, thank you for meeting with me. This is just a standard investigation. I'll need to see the home, speak with you and Mia separately, and review some documentation." Thomas led her through the house. She inspected Mia's bedroom, neat, filled with books and toys and art projects. She checked the kitchen, clean, well-stocked with healthy food. She reviewed Thomas's medication organizer, every compartment properly filled, alarm reminders set on his phone. She looked at his employment records, his bank statements, Mia's school records showing good attendance and excellent grades. Through it all, Mia watched this stranger examine their life with confused, worried eyes. Finally, Jennifer asked to speak with Mia alone. "Mia, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I need you to be very honest with me, okay? You're not in trouble. I just want to make sure you're safe and happy." Mia nodded, clutching Mr. Tumbles. "How do you feel about living here with your daddy?" "I love living with Daddy. He takes really good care of me." "Does your daddy ever get too sick to take care of you?" "He got really sick one time, but that's when I found Rebecca and she helped us. Now Daddy takes his medicine every single day, and he's healthy." "Tell me about Rebecca. How did you meet her?" "She's a police officer. I ran to her patrol car when Daddy couldn't breathe, and she came to our house and called the ambulance. And then she stayed with me at the hospital and brought her mom, Martha, and they took care of me while Daddy was getting better." "And now Rebecca comes to your house a lot?" "Yes, she's Daddy's girlfriend now. She comes for dinner and helps me with homework and reads me stories sometimes. She's really nice." "How do you feel about your daddy having a girlfriend?" Mia thought seriously about this. "I feel really happy. Daddy was lonely before, even though he tried to hide it. Now he smiles more, and I like having more people who love us. It feels like we have a bigger family now." "Do you feel safe with Rebecca?" "Of course. She's a police officer. Police officers help people. That's what Daddy always taught me." After speaking with Mia, Jennifer called Thomas back in. "Mr. Cooper, I've completed my assessment. I'm going to be honest with you. When I received this report, I had concerns. A single father with a serious medical condition, beginning a relationship with someone he'd met during a crisis, it raised questions." Thomas's heart pounded in his chest. "However," Jennifer continued, "what I've seen today tells a very different story. Your home is clean and safe. Mia is clearly well cared for, healthy, happy, properly dressed and fed, excelling in school. Your medical condition is being properly managed. And most importantly, when I spoke with Mia, she expressed nothing but security and love." Thomas felt his knees go weak with relief. "In fact," Jennifer said, and for the first time her professional demeanor softened slightly, "Mia told me about the morning she saved your life, about how you'd taught her exactly what to do in an emergency. That's excellent parenting, Mr. Cooper. Teaching your child to ask for help when needed shows wisdom and foresight. So?" Thomas's voice was barely a whisper. "What happens now?" "Now I close this case as unfounded. There's no evidence of neglect or inability to parent. What I see is a strong support system and a child who's thriving. The allegations in the report don't match the reality of your situation." "Thank you," Thomas said, his voice breaking. "Thank you so much. However, Mr. Cooper, I should warn you, the party who filed this report may try again. If these are Mia's maternal grandparents seeking custody, they may continue to make complaints. My advice is to document everything. Keep records of Mia's school attendance, her medical checkups, your own medical compliance. Build your evidence that you're providing excellent care." "I will. I absolutely will." After Jennifer left, Thomas immediately called Rebecca. "It's over. She's closing the case. Mia gets to stay with me." Rebecca felt tears of relief stream down her face. "Thomas, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you." "Rebecca," she said something else. She said the grandparents might try again, that we need to be prepared. Then we'll be prepared, together. That evening, with Mia tucked safely in bed, Thomas and Rebecca sat on the porch, holding hands, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. "I've been thinking," Thomas said quietly, "about what Jennifer said, about documenting everything, building evidence that I'm a good parent." "You are a good parent." "I know, but maybe it's time to make it official, to have legal protections in place." What do you mean? Thomas turned to look at her. Rebecca, we've been together for 2 months. I know that's not very long, but I also know that I love you, and I know that Mia loves you, and I know that you've become an essential part of our family. Rebecca's heart began to race. I'm not proposing, Thomas said quickly. Not yet. We should probably date longer than 2 months before that. But I want you to know that's where this is heading, that I see a future with you, that I want to build a life together. I want that too, Rebecca said softly. I love you, Thomas. And I love Mia. You've both become the most important people in my life. So we keep building this. We document everything. We show anyone who questions us that we're a stable, loving family. And when the time is right, we make it official. Deal! They sat together, holding each other in the warm evening air, and despite the challenges they'd faced, despite the threat still looming, both of them felt something powerful. They felt hope. The December air was crisp and cold as Rebecca parked in front of the yellow house on Greenwood Avenue. She grabbed the grocery bags from her trunk, ingredients for their weekly Sunday dinner, plus extra supplies for the Christmas cookies they'd planned to make with Mia. It had been a year and 2 months since a frightened 6-year-old girl had run barefoot to her patrol car asking for help. A year and 2 months since 3 lives had intersected and transformed each other. So much had changed. Thomas's health was stable, his medication affordable and accessible. He'd finished his web design certification and landed a full-time position with a local company, better hours, better pay, full benefits. The financial stress that had hung over the yellow house for years had finally lifted. Mia had thrived in 2nd grade, her teacher marveling at her maturity and kindness. She'd made a presentation to her class called How to Help Families in Crisis, teaching other children what to do in emergencies. Several parents had written to the school thanking Mia for empowering their kids with that knowledge. And Rebecca. Rebecca had learned how to live again, how to care deeply without fearing loss, how to be part of a family. Before she could knock, the front door flew open, and Mia, now 7 years old and somehow looking much older, launched herself at Rebecca. You're here? Finally. I've been waiting forever. I'm 5 minutes early, Rebecca laughed, hugging the girl who'd wrapped herself around her heart completely. But I've been ready for an hour. Thomas appeared in the doorway, wearing an apron that read, Dad Jokes Loading, and holding a wooden spoon. Mia, let Rebecca breathe. She literally just got here. But Daddy, we have so much to do. We have to make the cookies and decorate the tree and tell Rebecca the exciting news. Exciting news? Rebecca raised her eyebrows at Thomas, who was smiling mysteriously. You have to guess. Mia practically bounced with excitement. They went through several silly guesses before Thomas finally took mercy on her and pulled out an official-looking letter. Remember how Mia's grandparents tried to cause problems last year? How their lawyer kept sending letters demanding custody? Rebecca's stomach tightened. What happened? They dropped the case, completely. Their lawyer sent a formal letter withdrawing all custody claims. Apparently their attorney advised them they had no legal grounds, and continuing to pursue it would only cost them money, and potentially result in sanctions. Rebecca felt tears prick her eyes. Thomas, that's amazing. That's not even the best part, Mia interjected. Tell her the other thing. Thomas's smile grew wider. My company just promoted me to senior designer. It comes with a significant raise and the ability to work from home 2 days a week, which means more time with Mia. I'm so proud of you, Rebecca said, hugging him tightly. And there's one more thing, Thomas said, his voice suddenly nervous. But I need to show you instead of tell you. He led her to the living room where Mia's latest art project was displayed, a large poster board covered in carefully drawn pictures and neat handwriting. The title read, My Family Book by Mia Cooper. The pages chronicled their journey, the day Mia met Rebecca, Thomas in the hospital, their first family dinner, holidays together, ordinary Tuesday evenings doing homework, everything that had built this unexpected family. The final page was blank, except for a question written in Mia's careful handwriting. Rebecca, will you marry my daddy and be my forever family? Rebecca looked up to find Thomas on one knee, holding a ring. Rebecca Hayes, he said, his voice thick with emotion. A year ago, my daughter ran to your patrol car and asked for help. You could have just called an ambulance and moved on, but you stayed. You chose us. You became part of our lives in ways I never could have imagined. Mia stood beside her father, holding Mr. Tumbles and watching with shining eyes. You showed me that asking for help isn't weakness, Thomas continued. You showed Mia what it means to be brave and kind. You showed both of us what real love looks like. The kind that shows up day after day, that stays when things get hard, that chooses us again and again. Rebecca felt tears streaming down her face. Will you marry me? Will you officially become part of this chaotic, wonderful, perfect family? Rebecca looked at Thomas's hopeful face, at Mia's excited grin, at the life they'd built together from a moment of crisis and courage. Yes, she said, her voice breaking. 1,000 times, yes. Thomas slipped the ring onto her finger, and Mia cheered, throwing herself at both of them in a group hug that nearly knocked them all over. I knew it, Mia said triumphantly. I knew you were supposed to be our family. From the very first day when you helped us, I knew. Later that evening, after cookies were baked and decorated, after the Christmas tree was strung with lights, after Mia had finally, reluctantly, gone to bed still clutching Mr. Tumbles and talking about being a flower girl, Thomas and Rebecca sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. I can't believe it's been less than a year and a half, Thomas said. It feels like you've always been part of our lives. I feel the same way, like I was just waiting to find you both. Thank you, Thomas said softly, for stopping that morning, for listening to a scared little girl, for staying. Thank you for letting me, for trusting me with your daughter, for building this life with me. Martha arrived the next morning to find them all having breakfast together, chocolate chip pancakes, Thomas's specialty, which he could now make without any health scares. So, Martha said, noticing Rebecca's ring immediately, it's official? It's official, Rebecca confirmed, holding up her hand. Martha pulled them both into a hug. I'm so happy for you, both of you, all three of you. Mia looked up from her pancakes with syrup on her chin. Miss Martha, does this mean you're going to be my grandma for real now? Like officially? Martha's eyes filled with tears. I'd be honored to be your grandmother, Mia. Good. Because I've been practicing calling you Grammy Martha, and it feels right. 6 months later, on a perfect June afternoon, Officer Rebecca Hayes became Rebecca Cooper in a small ceremony in Martha's garden. Mia was the flower girl, wearing a lavender dress with sparkles and taking her role very seriously. She walked down the aisle carefully dropping rose petals and beaming with pride. When Rebecca appeared in her simple white dress, Thomas felt his breath catch. She was beautiful. But more than that, she was his partner, his best friend, his daughter's chosen mother, his future. The vows they'd written were simple but profound. Thomas promised to always ask for help when he needed it, to never let pride keep him from being vulnerable. Rebecca promised to show up day after day through boring Tuesdays and challenging moments and everything in between. And when the minister said, "You may kiss the bride," and they sealed their promises with a kiss, Mia cheered loudest of all. At the reception, Mia gave a speech that had everyone crying and laughing. Last year, my daddy taught me that if you ever need help, you should find a police officer, because police officers help people. And I found Rebecca, and she did help us, but she did more than that. She became my family. She looked at Rebecca and Thomas, both watching her with so much love. She taught me that families aren't just people who are related. Families are people who choose to love each other, who show up when things are hard, who make pancakes together and help with homework and stay even when it's not easy. Mia held up a glass of apple cider. Today, my daddy married my mom, Rebecca. But really, we've been a family for a long time already. Today is just making it official. And I want to say thank you to Mom Rebecca for being brave enough to help us, for staying even when she could have left, for choosing us. To our family, Mia said proudly, the one we chose, the one we saved together, the best family in the whole wide world. Everyone raised their glasses, and Rebecca felt overwhelmed by the journey that had brought her here. 18 months ago, she'd been going through the motions, working herself to exhaustion, trying to outrun her grief. And then a little girl in a princess nightgown had run up to her patrol car and asked for help. That little girl had saved her father's life. But somehow, she'd also saved Rebecca's. As the evening wound down, as the last guests left and Mia fell asleep on Martha's couch, still clutching Mr. Tumbles and wearing her flower girl dress, Rebecca and Thomas swayed together on the dance floor. "What are you thinking about?" Thomas asked. "I'm thinking about that Saturday morning, about how terrified I was when Mia ran up to my car, about how I had no idea that helping you both would end up being the thing that saved me, too. Mia always says we saved each other. She's right. She usually is." Thomas pulled her closer. "Thank you for stopping, for listening to a scared little girl, for building this life with me. Thank you for letting me, for trusting me with your heart and your daughter, for showing me that it's possible to love again without fear." They stood there swaying, not really dancing anymore, just holding each other in the warm summer evening. Around them, their family, chosen and given, blood and bond, celebrated the joining of 3 lives that had been meant to find each other all along. And somewhere on the couch, a 7-year-old girl dreamed peaceful dreams, safe in the knowledge that she was loved, that her family was whole, that heroes sometimes came in police uniforms, and sometimes you had to be brave enough to run to them asking for help. This is a story about many things, about courage, the courage of a 6-year-old girl who ran barefoot for help when she was terrified. About vulnerability, a father brave enough to admit he couldn't do everything alone. About love, the kind that shows up day after day, that stays when things get hard, that chooses people again and again. But most of all, this is a story about family, not the family we're born with, but the family we build. The people who see us at our worst and stay anyway. The people who celebrate our victories and carry us through our defeats. The people who show up with groceries and help with homework and mow the lawn without being asked. Families come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes they're connected by blood. Sometimes they're connected by choice. Sometimes they're connected by a single moment, a scared little girl and a police officer on a Saturday morning that changes everything. If you take anything from this story, let it be this. When you need help, ask for it. When someone asks you for help, give it. And when you find people who make your life better, who love you through the hard times, who choose you every single day, hold on to them. Build a life with them. Create the family you need, the family you deserve. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is run barefoot down a street asking for help. And sometimes the most heroic thing you can do is stop and listen when someone asks. Thank you for listening to this story. Drop a comment below and tell us, who is your chosen family? Who are the people who showed up for you when you needed them most? Remember, we're all just one act of kindness away from changing someone's life forever.